Trump called it Liberation Day for the nation's capital after claiming that D.C. is one of the most dangerous cities in the world. It is not. NBC News senior White House correspondent Garrett Haake brings us more.
Hundreds of National Guard troops are expected to begin deployments on the streets of Washington, D.C. this morning on orders from President Trump, a White House official tells NBC News. The rollout part of the president's unprecedented push to combat crime in the nation's capital.
This is Liberation Day in D.C.
The president signing an executive order declaring a crime emergency in Washington, tapping a never-before-used provision of Washington, D.C.'s Home Rule Act to federalize the police department, taking direct control of it for 30 days. And last night, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth asked how long National Guard troops could be there.
I don't know, weeks, months, what will it take? That's the president's call.
The district's Democratic mayor blasting the move, but saying she sees no legal route to prevent it.
I'm going to work every day to make sure it's not a complete disaster.
Other Democrats calling it a distraction.
This looks to me like an emergency which is manufactured because of a public relations crisis relating to the Epstein file.
President Trump taking the dramatic step after a former member of DOJ was violently assaulted on Washington's streets last week, painting a dire picture of crime and homelessness in the capital.
Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth, drugged-out maniacs and homeless people.
But D.C. police statistics show violent crime has fallen the last 2 years, including by 26% so far in 2025. And the U.S. Attorney's Office said in January overall crime in D.C. was at a 30-year low. The head of D.C.'s police union says those statistics fail to capture the reality on the ground.
That's not the reality that we feel on the streets.
He says D.C.'s officers welcome short-term federal help, but need more officers and changes in local laws to make a difference.
Can you fundamentally fix the crime problem in D.C. in a month?
No, I don't think so. I think you certainly can make an impact on the crime that would normally occur.
Joining us now, D.C. Attorney General Brian Schwab. Mr. Attorney General, thank you so much for being with us this morning. You just heard President Trump painting a rather dark picture of life in Washington. The crime, he says, is running out of control. Can you, for the viewer, set the record straight as to the nature of crime statistics in D.C.? And as President Trump moves to have federal law enforcement involved, do you want the help?
Well, thank you for having me this morning. Look, violent crime is a serious concern for all of us in the District of Columbia. Nobody should be a victim of a crime. And we, as public officials, need to do everything we can to drive crime down, and we have done that. Unfortunately, the president's characterizations of what's happening on the ground here in the District of Columbia is not consistent with the facts. We have seen meaningful, significant drops in crime since I was elected in 2023. When there was a crime spike, violent crimes have consistently gone down every year. And we're going to continue to do that. The work is not done. Every city, including Washington, D.C., needs to be laser focused on that. And that is something that I and the other folks here at the Office of Attorney General are focused on every day. We do not believe we need this takeover of MPD. Our Home Rule Act provides that while we do have limited authority to govern ourselves, local affairs like local policing are entrusted to our mayor and our chief of police, who are doing the job. There are things the federal government could do to help us. We certainly have a problem with the fact that more than 20% of the judges on our Superior Court that are required to be on the bench to handle criminal matters, juvenile matters, housing matters, and other matters are vacant. And that's something that the federal government, the president and the Congress could make sure we had some meaningful help right away in terms of the administration of justice in our city.
So, Mr. Attorney General, you're critical of the move now. You were so yesterday on social media as well. Is there legal steps you're considering here to try to block this effort?
Look, I'm very concerned about the law of the country, the Home Rule Act and the D.C. Charter being complied with. As your lead-in indicated, this is an unprecedented step taken by the President of the United States. In more than 50 years of home rule in the District of Columbia, this provision of the Home Rule Charter has never been invoked by a president. There are limited authorities of the president in the Home Rule Act. They are limited by circumstance. There must be special circumstances of an emergency. They are limited by time. Those invocations can only occur while there is an emergency in place. And they are limited for purpose. They are limited for federal law purposes, not local law enforcement. And under all circumstances, it is not lawful under the Home Rule Act to take over MPD. Instead, the president can ask the mayor for the services of MPD, but command and control over MPD and the officers of MPD should and must remain under the mayor and her chief of police.
Attorney General for the District of Columbia, Brian Schwab, we know you have to go. Thank you, Mr. Attorney General, for joining us this morning. And